What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here at GSD Mode Studios, where every week I share new top real estate agent and entrepreneur interviews, along with tips that I'm personally doing inside my business that have allowed me to become one of the top real estate agents and team leaders on the planet. Check us out at gsdmode.com, where you can see more free great content, tips, interviews, resources, trainings, and more that will help you massively grow your real estate business. Also, make sure to check out my personal mentorship coaching program at 90daymastery.com. This is for those of you wanting to create a truly successful real estate business that pays you the money you want, as well as gives you the time and freedom to live a life worth living. This is hands down the best, most effective, and most affordable real estate coaching program that exists out there. Thank you so much for all of your support. Now, let's dive on into today's content. What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Badass Entrepreneur interview. Every single week, you guys here live on the show, we interview top realtors, top entrepreneurs, top health and fitness professionals, and just people that are just dominating their space. They're out there tearing it up, doing big things, creating epic lives, right? So today I have my buddy, my brother from another mother, business partner, great friend of mine, Chris Marx, on the show. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thanks, Josh. Happy to be here.
Yeah, man. Stoked and honored, dude. So really excited. I know you got some big changes coming on in your life, and I was like, dude, I got to get you on the show before you go, because your story is, we've only known each other for a brief time. We've been business partners within the real estate business for a brief time. You've accomplished some epic goals that you thought were going to take years to do, and you hit it in record time, which is amazing. And we're going to get into that here in a little bit in the show. But I really thought it'd be amazing for our listeners to kind of hear your story. But before we get into that, dude, let's talk about, so right now you're in the real estate business, but you've done a lot of stuff, dude.
I've done a lot. Hell, I've landscaped.
And I didn't even know this until we were getting on the show, but I'm telling you how to speak into the mic. You're like, oh, dude, I used to be a DJ. I got this. Don't
it's all good. Now, back in the 80s, they weren't quite as fancy as this, but yeah, it's all good.
So let's kind of talk about, because one of the perceptions that a lot of real estate agents have, and this is why I think that they struggle in the business, is they look at themselves as a realtor, where really you're an entrepreneur. Real estate is just a product. That's the lens you must look at to be successful, because selling real estate is the easy part. It's keeping everything together and operating your business. That's the difficult part. So what did you do before you became an entrepreneur? Because I know you've had some other ventures, insurance, title, other stuff. Like at what point did you transition from, let's say, corporate America or whatever into entrepreneurship?
Honestly, Josh, I got to go back to when I was 17 years old, to be honest. I'm from Canada originally, and my whole reason for coming here was I wanted to be in business. Yeah, as a kid, I didn't want to go to college. I went to one semester, called my parents, said, don't waste your money. And I started from one thing to another. I worked on commission filling vending machines back in the day, and I bought a catering truck, a roach coach, if you will, in a college town because somebody owed me money. I didn't buy it. He owed me $500. He gave me a 72 Chevy chassis with one of those heater deals on the back. And I went to a pizza shop, and I was getting little pan pizzas before they invented pan pizzas, personal size, selling them for $1.50 outside a college football stadium on Saturday afternoons. It was a great way to meet chicks. So, And
how old were you at that point, dude?
I was 18.
So just, and I know you're gonna have so many stories, dude. There's a probably not being like a 6-hour interview. Okay, so you start filling vending machines. How does that lead into owning the what do we call it, roach coach or whatever you called it?
Well, because the vending company I worked for was also, the owner also owned a pizza shop, and so one thing led to another. But the vending machine piece of it and the ability, I never worked for minimum wage. I've had one salary position in my life briefly, and a couple draws briefly throughout. But I've always had the ability of, well, if I work a little more, then I can make more. Yeah. And that's where it really, and coming from Canada, and God bless all my Canadian brothers and sisters and friends up there, but they've got a little different mindset about, boy, that was a Canadianism right there. Whew, been a long time. About just being in business and everything, it's just a whole different culture. And down here, that movie Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith, that's one of my favorite movies of all time. There's no guarantees, but the opportunity. And that's all I've ever been looking for, is opportunity. And it started with filling vending machines. I thought, well, if I go a little faster, I can remember holiday weekends even into the 80s when I was a route manager in the vending business when I first got here. And sodas would go on sale for 99 cents a six-pack on Memorial Day, 4th of July, and Labor Day weekend, big in the summer, and wholesale cost was $6.40 a case. I was at Smitty's and Fry's all weekend long, picking up as many cases as I could, making $1.50 a case, selling them back to my vending company. He was getting 50 cents less a case, so I'd pick up a couple $100 that way. So it's always been about hustle. So it just that led to that, and then I kind of realized that, okay, we talk about capacity a lot, and I reached capacity at that. It gave me the chassis, but not a big enough ticket, and I ended up getting into the insurance industry, which was a straight commission deal, always was. I built and sold 3 agencies. Started out with MetLife, got a great training there for my sales background, and I'm always looking for bigger is better. So that's when you and I got together. We're in the people business. I've said that for years, and right now we're selling houses. Lord knows what we might be selling 5 years from now or 2 years from now. If something comes along, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's always made sense to me. Before I got in the real estate business 10, 11 years ago, I sold health club memberships.
Right.
And I was like, all right, well, I love sales, just like you. I've always been in the sales capacity where I don't have a capped earning potential. Right. But I was like, well, dude, why should be selling the biggest product that exists? I was like, well, there's houses and then there's like 747s and yachts. I can't really get, I'm not in an area where I'm selling 747s or yachts, but here I could sell houses. Right. Why did you, but before we talk about your real estate, dude, which you've done some epic shit that I've seen very, very few people ever do in the amount of time that you've done it. But why did you leave the insurance business? I mean, you're having big success there. You've grown 3 agencies. Money's good in the insurance business. Like, what was it there? I mean, there must have been some element that was unfulfilling to you.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of plateaued. And I mean, I had 3 different agencies that were, and money was good. I mean, I had a great life with it. There was insurance, the industry, it's always going through regulatory changes, just like real estate is. I just got tired of it, and I got to a point where I was in an accident about 10 years ago, and so I had kind of a chance to really go back and reinvent myself. And I didn't want to get back into that at the time. I was down for almost a year with a broken back, and so I thought, well, once I got back to it, I actually went and sold cars for a month. I had a buddy in the car business that owned a Kia dealership when it just opened up in Peoria. That was awesome. I think I sold 24 cars my first month. I had one Saturday when I sold 4 cars. That was damn awesome. But then I was still recovering from my back injury, so being on my feet didn't work too well. So I reached out to a friend of mine who used to work for me. She was a processor at a mortgage company, so I got into the mortgage business. I was at the tail end of the boom. I had a pretty good run for about 3 or 4 years still. But that's what kind of led me to my first exposure to real estate. And there was big dollars going on, during the boom. It was crazy. And lenders, everybody, if you sold anything tied to housing, you were making money 10 years ago. And I enjoyed being a lender, and I worked, my market was realtors. So I had a lot of relationships that I still have maintained with old customers. I've got a Coldwell Banker agent that I used to do all their loans. He still hits me up every now and then with a text. We had a cross transaction earlier this year, and he says, "You sure you won't go get your LO license and do loans again?" So I was pretty good at that. But again, when the crash happened and all the changes, so that just kind of drifted me away from it. Yeah, it was just like, really, this is never going to be the same. And I hadn't been in it as long as a lot of veterans at the time. But what led me, there was bigger tickets per item. I found when I got into the loan side of it, which was, I equate loan officers and realtors. We're very similar capacities, like right and left in the transaction. Mm-hmm. For a good loan officer. And I love all those loan officers out there, that. But, so from insurance, that's more of a secure. I sold auto insurance for years, and renewals are great to get that base. But I've never been that guy that just wants to coast on a base. And passive income, it's good. But, I like getting up every morning and knowing who am I going to close. I was out the other night at 9 o'clock showing a house, and it hasn't gone yet, but it would have been my 5th offer in 6 days. And there's nothing I like better except
I want to make sure people know
that I like going. I love going back in, and like right before that appointment at 8 o'clock, I took some people in from a day earlier, wanted to show the kids, man, walking around when they know they're under contract, all of a sudden you can see their family, and they can see where this is a blended family coming together. They're getting married, going to move in this house. So there's some intrinsic value to what we do besides the money. So that really hits home a lot, and that really kind of gets you through the tough files too, because every now and then there's those ones that you're shaking your head thinking, okay, now what's next? Yeah. So, but that's really what led me to it, because it's, again, I guess it comes back to capacity now, thinking out loud, because you reach a certain capacity. Didn't want to get any bigger than I was in insurance, because I've never been a fan of, I like having people around me that have the same work ethic, which is not always the easiest thing to find, as I know and so I don't want to have 100 employees. I've had my last company I had a signing service that I started in 2010. Ended up we had about 40 signers around the valley here that were independent contractors. They weren't W-2 employees, but it's a lot of people to manage, and that's just not my favorite gig. I mean, I've done it, I can do it, but put me in front of people. If there's a close there, I'm getting it, and that's what flips my switch, man.
Yeah, so you started the signing company in 2010, which you had some big success there. I know you sold it, and you did really well with there, and it was time to cash out. And you were partners with was it with your son?
No, well, my son was my key guy, but no, it was all me.
Okay.
And I talked about selling it to him. He actually started another business of his own when I sold. So the signing business was very intense. We came, the HARP refi, call it a little mini refi boom. That was kind of how we rose so quickly. But, man, it was a grind. I mean, there was a lot of 16-hour days, and my son, I mean, I rode him like a stallion. I mean, that kid hated me by the time we were done, but it was fun. We had a good time. It took us about 6 months cooling off period afterwards, but it's all good.
Yep.
But it was just, again, capacity. I mean, I was making a good living, but I thought, God, for the hours I put in, and then for years and years and years, from being an LO to being a signer, in the signing company, I kept seeing these real estate commissions. I thought, and I'm just going to be blunt. There's some agents out there that sometimes I wonder how they make their living doing what they do, because they don't focus, or, in my opinion, put enough of their heart and soul into what they do. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I know how to work hard. So if I can go get a license and figure this out, I know I'm good with people, bet I can sell houses. So that's what prompted me to get my real estate license. I figured, okay, I've been in the lending side, I've been around the title side with my signing business. So it was just an evolution, going into it. And really probably gives me the most freedom of any of those capacities. I mean, it's a lot of work like anything else. There's no magic pill. You know that. I mean, you're the only guy I've met that works harder than I do. And I'll say that with not boasting, because I work my butt off, and I know you do. And more so now, if I was 20 years younger like you are, I think I could give you a run for your money. I'd like to think I could anyways. But no, hats off, because so few people are, you can hear 100 different quotes, but if you love what you're doing, it's not work. That's the key, or the passion, or, you've taught me about clarity. That's something I've really been able to bring into the forefront in the last 6-8 months. And when you get that, the rest of it's easy.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, if you're not freaking obsessed with what you do, when you become an entrepreneur, don't do it because you're going to quit. Because you are going to go through pain, you are going to go through struggle, and you're going to peace out. You're not going to give it enough time to get through that pain, because it's good. Right? I mean, you're still working your ass off, but it becomes really good when the money starts coming in and you get rewarded for that work. But there is a time, maybe for that first 6 months, maybe for that first year, where the money's not good and you're putting in all the work and the reward's not coming in. So you have to become obsessed and have that passion. And you really have all the perfect ingredients. You're great with people. You've got a lot of sales skills. I don't know if I've met anybody in this industry. I've met a lot of freaking people, but I don't know if I've met too many agents that have the hustle, the drive, the follow-up. I mean, you grasp, and a lot of it's probably your other sales industries, but the fortunes in the follow-up. And for some reason, most realtors can't get it and don't get that. Maybe that comes from your auto sales experience, your insurance experience of knowing how aggressive you got to follow up with people. So, let's just talk about real estate, because you've been in real estate, what now, year and a half? 2.5. 2.5 years.
Yeah. 2 years and 2 years and 2 months, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I just renewed at the end of May. So
badass, dude, badass. So you get into real estate. You had this perception of what it was going to be like, right? Was the perception that you had getting into the business the same? Was it harder? Was it easier? When you got started, what was it? What was that like? What was your first year like?
Well, I made a few mistakes along the way, but I've opened up several offices, and I've had several different business ventures over the years. I mean, I can't tell you how many LLCs I've been a part of. So I came in, I had sold my company. I took about 60 days off, and I was bored out of my mind. And so I thought, well, if I'm going to do this right, I went and leased an office. Now, this is before I'd even written a contract. And I went and leased an office, and I hired a full-time assistant, thinking I needed all this. And then I joined another coaching program through, am I allowed to say the name?
Yeah.
Tom Ferry.
Yeah.
Good guy, by the way. Tom, if you're listening, I hope you are. This is a good guy I'm talking to here. But anyways, I joined the coaching program, and a lot of good people in that organization. And they had it was kind of a go big or go home mindset. And I've always kind of lived that way anyways. So that's why I figured I'll set up the full-on office, the whole 9 yards. And then I thought, well, I got my cards. I'm all set up. When the hell's all my phone calls? Nobody's calling me. You got to get your name out there, obviously. So I did it. Now, the one I was kind of directed in that program that, Zillow and some of these consumer-based buy your leads programs are the way to go. So I bought into it. I sold 3 or 4 houses between September and December. But
Who directed you that way? Was it like your broker? Was it with your coach?
Coach in the organization. And, I think there's definitely some collaboration with those organizations, Zillow and the Ferry program. And I'm not knocking it because it did produce results in that I got leads. And then so it was like I escalated. I thought, well, if I'm spending $1,000 and I'm getting this many deals, should be directly proportionate. So I was spending $4 or $5 grand by the time I was 6 months in, and I was getting the turns, but I didn't have a full grasp of the fact that, there's guys like, there's RE/MAX agents, in your old office that have been around for 25, 30 years in the market I was trying to target, where I've lived most of my life in Arizona. And didn't matter how much you spend, and I can put on my tuxedo shot, and I got a damn good profile picture, but, I got 13 sales, and Nate Martinez has got thousands probably, great agent, man, but I can't compete head-to-head quite yet. In that scenario, put me across the table, and I think I could probably hang.
Smoke him now.
Exactly. But he's still got such a broader recognition due to time. So by the end of my first 14 months, man, I'm turning numbers, but all I'm doing is trading dollars. I was spending as much money almost as I was bringing in. I was in a 100% shop that I figured, I don't need any kind of a system or program. I know how to do this. I've ran businesses. So I did, other than I wasn't keeping anything. Or I was keeping enough to live on. That was about it. So I wound it all down. By September, Labor Day, I closed my office of, 2014? Yeah, I guess it was 2014, last year. And laid off my assistant, which I know she's with a Home Smart agent now, Chelsea. Awesome assistant. I trained her well, and I hope your agent's grateful for that. Very smart young lady, too. Got her license right away, even before I even wrote a transaction. I was trying to I was trying to think big, but anyways, I was drifting. Had one foot out the door in the business. I was so frustrated. Now nothing's going on. I got nothing going on with Zillow. I'd actually taken a job with a vacation company, and I was going to manage a sales team. And I did that, and then the day I started there, I went to one of your speaking engagements. And, the rest is history, as they say, but we'll tell them. I'm literally 1 foot out the door, and so I went to your engagement, and I'd been following you because you're somebody on your team. I didn't realize it was your team. I thought it was you that was on the other side of the transaction. So I've been following you on Facebook for over a year. And I'm like, who the hell is this Joshua Smith guy? We sell these houses. I heard your ad on the radio and everything. Like, well, I want to do like that guy. So January of, this is how I'm all in when I commit. I had an ad on 97.5 and 103.9. I can't remember the call letters now, that I ran for 60 days. And it was some, trying to attract first-time home buyers. And it was just kind of a, targeted at millennials and that kind of thing. I wrote a check for $6,800 for 60 spots. Think, well, Joshua Smith's doing it. It's got to work, So, I think we got one call out of all those deals. It was great when I heard it on the radio. This cool. Chris has a commercial. Didn't make me any money, but so when I met you or I saw you at the engagement. I think we had coffee the next day here at your office in Surprise, and there was no question in my mind, and I knew who you were. your history, and I talked to, we have a lot of mutual contacts in the industry, and everybody's like, go talk to Joshua, you'll be fine. And there's a lot of people that I'm close to knew I was ready to get out. I was done. And, I also didn't realize anybody who gets recruited onto Revisto, do what I did, even though they'll let you get away with it for your own sake. Go through every YouTube training. Was there 18 hours of YouTube training you're supposed to go through? Something like that. I was getting up at 4 a.m. and listening to that for 2 hours before I did anything else, before I got into the whole routine. And so by the time I went to the first team meeting and joined the team, I'd already been through all the training. And there was no question, if I'm doing this, this is my last shot at this, because otherwise, screw it, I'll find something else to do. I was going to go sell hot dogs on the beach. Whatever. Get me to the beach. I'm a happy man. So I dived in, early December, I think. And I brought over a couple listings I had, but then I just started grinding it out. I put my whole database into, conversion, and I just did everything the way you say to do it. I don't question. With your numbers and your success, and you're a cool dude to hang out with. You're not some stuffy corporate ass. Excuse my French, but I know Josh curses.
Yeah. It's called Get Shit Done Network.
Exactly. So, but you're not one of these corporate assholes that's going to stand up on the top of the mountaintop and say, do this, do this, do this. You've done it. You're real. And so I just said, I'm going to do it the way it says to do it. I don't cut corners on open houses. I don't cut corners on conversion. The mindset, and I'm not going to tell you I've mastered it, because I don't think I've mastered any of this yet. I think I'm on my way in a few areas, but I got a long ways to go. But by doing that, and there's a couple new people joined the team recently, and I've told them, I said, just don't cut corners, and don't think you got a little better way, or this might work easier. Write down. I'll give you an example. Last Friday, I get a phone call from somebody that had been through an open house that we did on May 22nd, I think it was. And, everybody comes, signs in, you chat with them, and you hope you get them all. You don't ever get them all. They'd also been to another open house previous, and they'd been communicating with both us and the other agent. We got a good, records and conversion. They'd spoken with a lender that we sent them to. They ended up going to this other guy's lender. And so they got pre-qualified. Then they just got their pre-approval the day before, and her husband had flown in from California. And we do little goodbye videos like you trained us to do at the end of the open houses. And, Vanessa and I working together, we do a little cornier, I think, than some, but people remember. And the last text that we had from these people was, we were at a listing where there was a pool. It was the first hot weekend. So we're sitting there with our feet in the water at the edge of the pool and saying, hey, thanks for coming out, our usual gig. That's what they remembered. And they texted me. I'm on my way home after being out in the field all day. And they said, hey, are you available this weekend? My husband's in town. Nobody seems to want to work this weekend. I'm like, what do you want? Where do you want to see? She sends me 4 houses. I'm sitting at the UPS store. So I'm pulling them up on my iPhone real fast. We got all the tools, man. I mean, you could do everything off that little iPhone. I verify them all. They're all vacant on lockbox. I said, text her back 10 minutes later. I said, when do you want to go? She says, I can go anytime. I said, I can be the first house in 20 minutes. 4 houses, and 2 hours later, wrote a full price offer, got accepted that night. All the little things. If we didn't send that, that's what she remembered. Didn't know that day that was going to lead to that. But so my point is, do I do it perfectly? I mean, I tried. There's days, we're all human, so I'm not going to rationalize or make excuses. I raised my kids on something that my first sales manager taught me, and he said there's 3 things in life. There's reasons, excuses, and results. The first 2 don't count. My 2 kids hate that saying, because from the time I got it when they were both in grade school, they still hear it to this day. And it's true. You can have every reason in the world, every excuse in the world, but the bottom line, what's the result? Did you get it done or not? You were sick? That sucks. You didn't get it done. So all those little things, I'm working on integrating the new texting program into the follow-up. And with, I've got a move upcoming, so I'm a little challenged, and I know that's an excuse, but at the end of the day, by the time I'm in my new place next week, there won't be any excuses. It's part of the plan. I've got to get, shit done as far as moving. But all those little things, and just like everything you bring in is so cutting edge. Your scripts, your verbiage, your everything, and it changes continually, as you know. So, if anybody on the team's listening, the one thing I can tell you is just don't question it. Just do everything and really get focused on that end result, because that's the other thing you've taught me is about clarity. And I've known, I'm moving to Carlsbad next week, and I've wanted to move to Carlsbad for 7 years. And when we first talked, I figured it'd be a couple of years out. Opportunities, one thing led to another. Opportunity presented itself. I'm going next week, man. Yeah. And so that's what I've been focused on. I've got it on my vision board in my house. I mean, this is going to sound corny, but I'm a bachelor, so where I got my commode in my master bedroom, I can leave the door open, and I've got the last 2 years' vision boards right at the end of my door. And there's the beach. There's plenty of pictures of the beach. My motorcycle's on there. There's a few hot chicks. What can I say? I'm single.
Yeah, that works, dude. That works. So, I really appreciate the kind words, man. And it's one of those things where what top producers never do is they never reinvent the wheel. Right? Picasso said, one of my favorite Picasso quotes, good artists copy, great artists steal. And it's, I may not understand it. I may not understand every element of it, but if somebody has success where I'm trying to get to, I don't need to understand all the rhyme to the reason of everything that they do. I just need to do exactly what they do. Success leaves clues. It doesn't happen on accident, right? So you come in, we have the paint by numbers system. Which a lot of people don't follow. They choose not to follow, but that's their own right. You can lead a horse to water, right? And then now we've created this. If they don't. Yeah, now we've created this with our 90-day mastery boot camp program for agents all over the country. That we put several hundred people through every 90 days to this system, and very very similar system for $1,000. They can go out there and go through the same experience you did, which you created $40,000 in commissions in your first 90 days, and being in the team when you were 1 foot out the door. But I don't want to make this a kind of a plug about the team and me as a coach. So let's just talk about you. Like what? So okay, you had that first year. You were coach. You thought you were doing all the right things. Right. But essentially, it's called what it is. I mean, you ran out of money. Right? So and I always say this that I truly feel more coaches put more agents out of business than they help. Mm-hmm. Right? It's. And I think that they know that 90% of agents aren't going to make it, so they just want to lock you in whatever it may be. And the dumbest thing to tell an agent to do when they're brand new is spend freaking money. Right. Here's 3 ways to generate business without spending money. You lead with revenue, but it becomes very difficult because we have so many coaches that exist. Not just real estate. All the industries that I operate, the business that I operate. I'm always being coached in multiple areas of my life. I mean, right now, I've got 4 different types of consultants in my life in different realms. So every industry is this way, not knocking on the real estate, but we have so many coaches and consultants out there that have never done it. Right. Like if I'm going to teach you how to box, bro, and I've never been in the ring and getting punched in the face, like how am I going to really coach you if I've never been through that experience? So then they go base off of theory, and it ends up fucking us up. It's how it goes. Or our mentors out there might be that broker that was a failed agent that accepted a salary job, so they give you the same shitty advice, that they got. So and I'm not trying to say that to try to sell our listener base on going out there and buying the 90-day mastery program. I mean, if it's for you, cool. If not, that's okay, but you need to find a mentor. And when you reach out to that mentor and you're kind of living proof of that if you get a mentor, the right mentor that's proven the success and achieved success that you want to achieve, and you do what they tell you to do, you're going to have massive success, right? So let's just talk about your experience with, you join here. Right. And it's not one of those things like, I know you're always, and you're very kind with it, always giving me credit, but it's not me, dude. Like all I did is I put the work in. All I did is it's like if I'm training somebody on how to lose weight, here's the freaking diet. You got to do the damn work every day, prep the meals. Like I think this 4th of July, how many deals do you put in escrow on 4th of July?
Well, over the weekend, 4.
4 escrows 4th of July weekend. So while everybody else is out there chilling, freaking drinking beer, getting fat, I
got 2 agents pissed off at me because they think I stole their deals. Well, get off your ass and go to work.
Yeah, so I love it, dude. You kind of talked about this. When you were an 18-year-old kid, same mindset, same philosophy. Yeah. Working freaking holidays, dude. I've always loved the holidays, and here in Arizona, I love rainy days. I love holidays because you just slay it. So you hustle your ass off 7 days a week, 16-hour days. But you also, people are like, well, I don't want to work that. They want to make this kind of money. They want to make more money than doctors and attorneys. Like, you're not going to go out there and make 40, 50 grand a month unless you're fucking putting in a lot of hours. Exactly. Now, after maybe 8 years or whatever your time, you might be able to scale that back, but it takes that hustle. So let's talk about, okay, so you have the change. Right. Because dude, you put 13 deals in escrow in less than 90 days, right? 40K in commissions, less than 90 days. After, you accepted a job, and part of this was part-time because you're still working your other job. Right. You're like, what the hell did you do? Like, what did you do every day? Like, go through a daily routine? Like, what did you, like?
I really got in. I mean, I thought if I'm going to do this, And I'm really cautious committing. I've had people say, Chris, you don't like to commit. I only commit when I know I can maintain that commitment and keep that commitment. And so to myself and the program, I thought, if I do this, I'm going all in. To getting up at, middle of the night. My dog looks at me still like, do we have to walk already? But it's part of the routine. And I want to talk about mindset first for a minute, because you do such a good job at training us. So I really took the mindset pieces, and I'm still working at that. The audiobooks, I struggle with. I'm not a reader, but I like to listen when I'm in the car. But even that, I do it in like 10 and 15-minute chunks, because that way I get something out of it, and then I move on for a minute. You turn me on to Grant Cardone. I mean, the guy's a madman. One of these days, I know, you've been to one of his conventions or big shows for the 10
I've
party?
seen him speak at a keynote, but I've never been to it.
I'm sure it's a party. I mean, the guy, you probably walk out of there that you probably can't sleep for a couple of days, I'm guessing, just because he's such a badass.
He's badass.
So, and then, I've listened to Darren Hardy for quite a while now. I get a 2-minute clip from him every morning, his daily whatever he does. So I try to plug in all these anything positive I can find. I'm all over it, because mindset and gaining that clarity has been so important, and really the two kind of come together. So I knew exactly what I wanted. If you look at my vision board, you probably don't remember, when we did them in December, I put a Tahoe on my vision board, and I wanted it by the end of first quarter, and I bought my Tahoe March 30th. Didn't know for sure how that was going to happen. It just kind of worked out, but it's because I put it out there. And so then every day, and then same thing with, this going to California, that's just kind of, well, it's funny though, I was looking this morning, and right above my motorcycle, there's a little line that says speed up your success. And I just caught that this morning. I see it every day, but I don't really, I'm looking at that, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. I don't know how that worked out, but so I just, everything that, and I'm going to have, that's something else I'm going to have to do now, is I'm going to have to readjust, because the other, every 90-day segments, that's one of the best thing I've learned, is because things do change every 90 days, because 90 days ago, I just was starting to have an inkling that I'd be doing what I'm about to do. 6 months ago, I didn't think it was going to happen this fast. I thought, we talked about this, I was going to move to Surprise, and that was the plan. So you have to adjust, and I'm going to be in the process of adjusting, okay, what's next? And I've already picked out what house I want to buy when I get out there, so I'm renting to begin with, but that's going up on the vision board. I've already got a picture of it on my phone. But the mindset piece and the clarity, that's really the biggest thing, is the clarity. And I more and more every day, I'm learning how having that drives everything else. The stuff that drives you crazy, it's like, going to the gym, doing a cardio. Cardio is my least favorite thing to do in the gym. I've got a great trainer. I've been 2.5 years with this guy. He's the first guy I've ever stuck with a physical fitness program in my life. And literally that's changed my life dramatically. But the little stuff, every morning we start out doing cardio and doing these sprints. I'm like, God, I hate this first 15 minutes. It's kind of like, and I don't hate making the phone calls. There's nothing about it I hate. Some of it's more of a grind than others, but because I know I have absolute conviction that if we do it, it works. It's like simple math. You make enough phone calls, you see enough people, you do enough open houses. In my case, I do an open house every day if I could do it and have enough people show up, which if you get one good one, there's enough people showed up. But that clarity for what you want at the end game, everything else should just come easy, and then don't question any of it. Just, you gotta, and I'm not saying be brainwashed, but you have to be absolute. It's just got to be absolute. And if you do that, and you do have your tough days. I've had deals blow up. I had somebody yelling at me this morning on the way in here, but just it's like an umbrella, and it just kind of rolls off if you got your armor on. And but the mindset. So every morning, what I started, and what's the 4?
Core 4.
Core 4. I got a Core 4 up on my board in my house, and so I try to make sure I'm taking care of mindset, spirituality, whatever that means to you, physical fitness, and then the business.
So what were your initial thoughts when I was like, all right, dude, you got to start getting up at 4 a.m.? Were you like, this motherfucker's crazy? Like, yeah. When because you came to me and you're like, dude, Josh, here's my plan where I want to be in 2 years.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, if you do everything I say, we will absolutely get you there in 2 years. But I'm going to hand you the shovel and you just got to start digging, right? So I was like, okay, 4 a.m., get up, this. Dude, you followed it to a freaking T, and you accomplished what we thought would take 2 years and 6 months.
Yeah.
But what was kind of going through your mind when But you did it.
Well,
you know?
for a split second, I was like, holy shit. But then I thought, you know what? I'm doing this because I know this is where I want to be. And I had absolute belief. I wouldn't have joined this team, especially at the stage I was at, with as much commitment as I did. I'm not going to say I was desperate. I was just frustration. You know, you talk about stepping out of frustration into a solution and curiosity. And that's what I did. And, you know, again, this stuff, the connections with people I've been able to make through the team. I mean, the people on this team are amazing. I mean, you know, from Ashley on down the line, I mean, you know, I know she's been with you from just about day one in the business. They're pretty close to it.
It's really her team, dude. I just screw things up for her.
I told her, I said, you're like the team mom. And, you know, because she just, you know, and no matter, and God, Lord knows, and I know I've been a little cranky with her a few times over, usually it's the lender's fault, Ashley. It's never you. But, you know, she just, no matter what comes along, and I can only imagine what she deals with having as many agents as there is. You know, she always shows up with a smile on her face. I've never seen her bitchy. You know, I'm sure she has her moments, but she just shows up, man. And to be able to attract that kind of people around you, you know, and you connect me with working with Vanessa. I mean, what an awesome agent. I mean, she's got tons more experience than I do. She's been 14-year agent.
It's crazy how the universe works, dude, because, and I know you guys didn't know this until recently, but you guys both at the same, I did a How to Triple Your Business in 90 Days live speaking gig. Right. You guys both came to the same event. You didn't know each other. You didn't meet at the event, but you both came to the event. You both joined the team from the event. Yeah. It wasn't a recruiting event, but you guys both just reached out, said, hey, you know, we like this, whatever. Join at different times. And then several months into it, you know, you guys both end up connecting, and it's awesome partnership.
Yeah, I mean, she is an outstanding agent. Her technical skills, especially in her, she knows the rules, you know, and she's seen a lot of things I haven't seen in that many years. But she's also got the ability. Her vision is uncapped. You know, she lives outside the box. And so when the two of us started working together, it was just like, wow, why'd this take so long? I mean, she just, you know, and I look at her and I watched her negotiate a deal that's actually closing probably as we speak. It should be recording. And it was a cash offer on one of our listings in Surprise. And they came in and she's on the phone. We're picking up signs from an open house. And she's like, they came in at like, I don't know, whatever the number was. I'm like, we talked to the seller. She says, oh, we'll take it. And she says, no, we're not taking that deal. And I'm like, what do you mean we're not taking that deal? We can get another $3,000 for a seller. I'm like, okay. We're driving down the road. We're coming down Bullard. And I'm like, you talk to him then. I'm not, don't tell me. So I put her on the phone. That's not enough. She says, we need to know right now. She says, will your buyer come up $3,000? No, that's not good enough. We're going to stay on the market. And I'm just like, you're going to blow this deal. This is a seller that's been anxious to sell. And I'm just looking at her. I'm like, just tell him we'll take the original offer. So she's on the phone with him about 5 minutes. You know, Vanessa, I mean, she gets a little wound up. And lo and behold, she says, we got the price. So she calls back the seller, and I'm like, that's why I like working with you. You know, me, I'm a salesman, man. I mean, come sell me. I just take it. You know, and I'm getting better. I've learned a lot about negotiating from her. I'm watching this. I'm like, seriously? You know, just because this was one that was sitting for a while. But yeah, she ground them. And so things like that she brings to the table, and we really complement each other well. So the universe does work funny because timing was excellent. She wanted to do open houses. I wanted some help. I know a lot of agents work with lenders on their open house. I'm fortunate to work with her. We just double up the number of people coming in.
Yeah, dude, and I think it's important for everybody to know, those that are listening to this or watching this, is greatness can never be achieved alone. Yeah. Like, dude, it takes surrounding yourself with other amazing, talented people, you know, and then that don't always share your strengths, but that their strengths are your weaknesses. Right. Like, I'm never looking at my weaknesses and be like, okay, how do I improve my weakness? I'm like, what are my weaknesses? So I can get somebody that's a freaking badass to plug in there, so I can just focus on my God-given strengths, you know. And okay, so let's kind of rewind though before that. So you popped in, you're leaving the business, you come here, you do 13 deals in escrow in your first 90 days. Right. How the hell did you get 13 deals? Like, what were you doing? What activities were you doing to put those 13 deals in escrow?
Well, I get up in the morning. You know, I go through my morning routine. So then I started checking emails, and then in the mornings I was starting to hit conversion going through and seeing how many people are engaging. I try to get and I've really been refocusing on conversion lately and trying
So sorry to interrupt, but those of you that don't know what conversion is, it's our team database, right? So if you might have top producer, you might have, Big Purple Dot, Boomtown, Follow Up Boss. Conversion's just our database. So those of you like, what the hell is it? What's this conversion thing? It's just a real estate. It's our website with a back end contact management system. So,
so basically every day I was checking to see who's engaging and what houses are they looking at, and basically just to see who's active and see who's kicking tires, and phone calls and emails and texts. And I really enjoy the texting. For somebody in my generation, I probably have adapted to texting better than a lot of people my age. My age is just, I'm old but not obsolete, just for the record. But I got that from the Terminator. Anybody seen the Terminator? What a great, Arnold's timeless. Yeah. But anyways, his line was, I'm old but not obsolete. So I started texting quite a bit. That worked pretty well. People engage because they will. They'll either tell you quit texting or answer a question. Oftentimes, I know with me, now I'm probably a little different because my number's published, but there's times when I know a lot of people, if they don't recognize a number, they won't pick up the phone. If I'm calling somebody that I'm trying to reach out to for the first time, I will text them and say, hey, this is Chris, the Vista Real Estate Group. This number is my phone number. I want to be calling you from that number, so that when my number pops up, it's not oh God, who's calling me? So, and people are weird about phones anymore. So, so I texted and did it religiously. And and then following up on any leads that I had. I started with my old database, and then I started doing open houses right away.
So before we get into open houses, so you when you're talking about working the database, this was all those Zillow leads that you got the year before. You plugged them into the new contact management system, and then you're like, okay, I'm just going to revive some of these.
Yeah, and honestly, probably out of those 13, I would say probably 3 or 4 of those transactions
of
were
old leads you thought were dead. Like you were just like, peace out, they're gone.
Let me tell you, in packing my office up at my house, I found probably, I'm going to say 400 or 500. I had this prospect sheet I was using before I came here, name, phone number, and email addresses on there. So, and I'm sure most of them are in conversion, but I'm going to cross-reference to make sure, because if any of them are old, they don't know the difference, man. So because a lot of these people re-engage with me because of the follow-up in our CRM. So it's really follow up until the cows come home. Honestly, it's just
buy die, sue me for harassment.
Exactly. And you just have to have that mindset, and a couple key things that I learned here, and I knew a lot of what you teach us on the team, and or any of your coaching clients, that you're teaching basic fundamentals, but you drive them home over and over again. It's the repetition. The 95% aren't going to do business with you. I've been taught that for years, and it's true. It's just like you just said. It'll come back to me. Something else you said I heard 25 years ago, and these are the basic fundamentals of basically work and sales, or whatever you want to. You can call it sales, you can call it work, call it. There's no magic pill, and you got to do those. You got to keep on following up with people. But living here in Arizona for 31 years, I've been outside in this heat for years and years and years, and I've worked out it, and I've been fortunate to have been in sales that entire time. I see guys working construction or working on the sides of fixing the roads or whatever out in this heat. Now, and then I always look to myself and think, I could be doing that, or I could make phone calls. And how uncomfortable is that? And then a few things you remind yourself, well, this sucks, I don't like and do that. Well, do you like being broke? I've been broke more often than I care to admit. It's when you're willing to take risks, you got to be willing to fall flat on your face. Put it this way, and I'm not ashamed to say it. When I came to the team, I leveraged every single personal asset I had to keep things going. And but if you're going to believe in something, and the best advice, I think, is somebody who really wants to be an entrepreneur and wants to call themselves a risk taker, because it's like are you interested or committed? Mm-hmm. You have to be willing to take your most valuable possession outside of family and put it on the line and say, you know what, if this doesn't work, that's going to be gone. And if you're willing to leverage to that extent and commit to that, then you're a risk taker. If you're not willing to do that, then you're interested. And that's okay too. Most people, look at people that are willing to do that and think you're out of your mind. But, it is what it is. So I just really, I follow up. It's It's not rocket science. It's follow up, and just doing everything.
Why weren't you doing the follow up before?
I think that would probably have to lead back to the mindset piece, because mindset keeps you focused on the results. So then the clarity. So, it's all an integration of everything, I think. And I was missing some of these pieces. The mindset, I was kind of in and out with it because I have some exposure to it, but not enough. There's a lot to be said for being on a team, because, the meetings we get together, the exchanges we have on the group on Facebook, just the contact. I mean, you connect with different people. Everybody's going to gravitate to somebody when they join the team, if they're really on the team. And so those things help, which I didn't have that. And then, from there, really focusing on, there was I'd pretty much given up. For years I wanted to move out to California. And I thought, God, I just don't know how this is really going to happen, honestly. But I'd never completely given up, but I thought, man, I don't know how. And that's so with re-identifying with those things and recommitting, because I think you have to almost recommit every day when you get up in the morning. You get up in the morning, yeah, man, I open my eyes, like, oh, here we go. 5 minutes later, you're up and running. And but I think it does take to recommit that every single day and not let yourself slack off. Because then when you've done the work, and it's all about, integration. I've got you talking to somebody tomorrow that I'm hoping joins the team. And she's a single mom. She's got her life. She's got all kinds of different things working in her world. And I said, if you talk to Josh, because one of the things you talked about was integrating your life. There doesn't have to be days off. You get your pockets of time. You go out to dinner. In my case, I'm going to go to the beach morning and night next week. And, I'm going to drink my coffee at the beach and walk my dog down there. And in the evening, that's where, I may go down and sit by the beach and do my evening texts from the beach. But that's my thing. Everybody's got their thing. My kids are grown, so I'm in a, kind of a cool position. It's taken me a lot of years to get here. But the integration of everything we do, I sent me to Hawaii for 2 weeks. I guarantee you I'm not going to not be on my smartphone and my computer and making sure that when I get back, I'm not unemployed. And that's the beauty of what we do. But I think, so the key is not looking at it like a job. But I've really never looked at it like a job. A lot of people do. And they think, well, at 5 o'clock or 7 o'clock, I'm done. I need to shut my phone off. Shut your phone off? Really? One of our new assistants, Naleka, she's been learning basically the GSD mode of how to do business. And we were waiting on a report to come back for a seller's agent, and we were expecting to be 2 days. I get an email from her at 12:02 yesterday morning, and she said, hey, I just got this, sent it over. And she's thinking, I'm sure that I was going to respond in the morning. I'm like, what the hell are you doing up so late? Well, it just came in. And I'm like, awesome job. I love it, because it took 2 minutes. She was awake. She sent it off. That's the difference. That's why we're the best team out there. Yeah, because we do get shit done.
And people have this entitlement philosophy that, like, I deserve time off, or I deserve, dude, you don't deserve shit. Nobody owes you anything.
Exactly.
Okay, you can have that entitlement philosophy, but I deserve this. I deserve to go to Hawaii for a week without any interruptions. Okay, you can go with that mindset, that entitlement mindset like that. But you don't deserve. There's no guarantee that you're gonna have a roof when you come home. Like you're not entitled to your house. If you want to allow yourself to be entitled to that time, which is a personal choice, just understand that all those luxuries that you enjoy in life, you're not entitled to, and those could be sacrificed based on that decision.
Absolutely.
And it's just everything's just that lens we look at. So, okay, dude, you're following up like crazy. Mm-hmm. You're reigniting these. You got your mindset, you got your vision reignited,
yep.
Right? So now you've got your why, you've got your purpose again. You're hungry. You're following up, reigniting those 3 of the deals were those. You got 10 other deals. Mm-hmm. So then what else do you go out there and start doing?
Facebook posts, did those, morning and night, and right at I didn't do them at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, 7 in the evening, from 7 to 7:20. That's the key time. I know we've started doing some in the mornings as well, but 7 to 7:20 is still the best time.
So let's talk about that, because that's a free medium. Doesn't cost you any money.
That's what brought me over, dude. When you said you can triple your business, or is it triple or quadruple? I don't know.
Triple your business 90 days.
Okay.
You more than tripled that 90 days.
And I'm writing, I'm writing checks for, $3, $4, $5 a month to Zillow. I hope they appreciate it. One cocktail party out of all that I got to go to. I think I got 2 Coronas out of it. And, I'm thinking to myself, it just doesn't make sense. So and when you said you can, that's probably the other thing that really got me is how to generate this business without having to pay for it. I don't have a problem with working hard, but I have to know what am I supposed to do when I get to work, so to speak. And so, yeah, the Facebook posts, I mean, those are amazing, and I'm learning more as I go, and I'm trying to get a little dug deeper into that because I don't want to try to do everything, because that's the other thing, you talk about getting really good at 2 or 3 things and do them over and over and over again. The Facebook, I mean, it's free and it's such a broad net you can cast, so I am going to master that one because it's, especially with trying to, work from a few different locations. It's like,
well, I mean, you say that you haven't mastered it, but let's just say that, I mean, you've done. I mean, that last month, dude, you brought in almost 1,000 free leads just from this strategy.
And I don't even know where those are just they're in the early stages. I can tell you, I think in the first 6 months, just without even going over my books, I know for a fact at least 6 closings that were generated purely from Facebook.
And they take 20 minutes a night, 100% free.
So that's one a month.
Yeah.
So 20 minutes a night. I mean, I don't know what it equates to. That's a pretty good rate.
Hell of a lot less than $5,000 a month.
Here's the other thing about
Zillow.
Facebook. What I've gotten really good when I was getting these Zillow people, and again, I was new and I didn't go through a formal training program. I was showing people 30, 40 houses, man. I mean, it's like, are you freaking kidding me? I mean, and I like to get them in the car because that's where I build my rapport. And it's all good, but I mean, there was a few people that, I mean, I got one guy that's still floating out there. I just text him once, well, hey, let me know when you're ready to write a contract. And we got to be buddies, but his wife, was a tough one, and they wanted the mansion for the price of a Motel 6 kind of thing. But so I've narrowed that down. So now when these Facebook leads come in, you've engaged, they're obviously internet savvy. So you have to equate to that. I mean, we're not, we don't keep all the information anymore. So quick response when those Facebook leads come in is critical. Speed to lead. I mean, the second that it comes on, and again, this comes in that commitment thing. Some people don't want to disturb their dinner. Or, I mean, a lot of times I'll tell people, I say, excuse me, I have to take this. And I'll let them know, like if I'm, having dinner with a friend or something like that, I'm going to say, listen, something comes in, I'm going to apologize in advance, but I've got to take it because this is how
it comes back to that fucking entitlement lens, dude. It's
exactly.
Like, I'll get that sometimes too because my wife will kind of look at me like we're eating dinner and something will come in that's like urgent. I won't entertain, but if it's something that's urgent that I need to jump onto, she'll kind of give me that look and I'm like, look, dude, how do you think we afford these dinners, baby?
Exactly.
Like chill out, this is happening. My moral and ethical obligation as a man is to take care of this family, and if that means I got to do a 5-second response on my phone because none of us are entitled to a 30-minute dinner every night, we've got to earn that,
Absolutely.
So love it, dude.
No, and I honestly believe that, so speed to lead on Facebook leads is critical, and honestly, I mean, if I was going to rate myself, I'd probably give myself about a C- to a D+ recently, and that's one thing. If going into my next 90-day stretch, which will begin on July 28th, I believe it is, because I've tried to chunk them off when I get in this new structure of what I'm doing with my life. And there's no days off, but that's one of my if I sold a house a month off of Facebook, I'm going to sell 3 a month off of Facebook, just off of Facebook. And I'm not including past clients. I'm talking new business into Facebook within, let's call it 6 months previous or not. We're going to keep generating those. But the new ones, if you can get them when they're hot, they'll start talking to you right away. And you can, and what I do is if they text in through the CRM, within 2 texts, I'll say, hey, by the way, this is Chris. Can we switch over to my personal line? Here's my number. I'm going to text from this. They'll text right away. I sent 2 last night over to the Tobias team. I'm giving them a plug. Awesome loan group or lenders. And they're already been on the phone with them. So I'll just ask them. I'm very direct with people. So that's probably how I got to 13 also. I know people think I'm a little pushy, and I'm aggressive. I'm as aggressive, I think, as you can be without pissing people off. But, somebody, when I'm on the phone with them or they're walking through an open house, within 3 sentences of engagement, once we started talking about the home buying process, I'll ask them, and I got these words from you, perfect world, how soon do you want to be putting a key in the door? Give me a timeline so I know where you're at. And I ask them right out the gate so I know how soon, where my paycheck lives. We're here to make a living. So that's my barometer as far as how hard am I going to start pushing now. And if they tell me, well, it's like the one I wrote, one of the ones I wrote this past week, 2 weeks ago, Facebook lead comes in. And I hit them up, and they said, we chatted a little bit. They said, well, we're just in the early stages. We got leases, so we're not in a hurry. No problem. Sign them up on my website. They looked at a couple houses. Next day, it's a Saturday morning. Hey, can we go look at this house out in Pistacia? Sure, no problem. So I roll out there. House is okay, but I want to get in front of them. I haven't met them yet. And, I do a buyer's consultation with everybody. I try not to do it at the office. And I've had lenders, even my lender, Tobias Adriana, she asked me this was on the 4th of July weekend, because same people, let me back up. We show them a house. They say, oh yeah, it's nice, but and they're very selective. The tile's got to be this and this, so I'm letting them talk. And I want to spend as much time in that first house with them. I want to let them get to know me, and I'm engaging. I always wear the cowboy boots now because I want them to remember me. So I always, put on something memorable. I try to wear cool glasses and cowboy boots because for whatever reason, people remember me. People, if they don't know me, they probably think I'm some kind of a hick. And my roots go back that way, but I'm not really like a cowboy, so to speak. But I like the boots because everybody remembers them. They look good with a suit. They look good with jeans. So if you're listening, if you're trying to, trademark yourself, I did the tuxedo piece for a while. That worked for a little bit, but face to face, the tuxedo's a little much.
Oh yeah.
But
you actually rocked it. I see.
Just
I know
for
the
my
tuxedo
media pictures. No, but it's funny when I went to the Tom Ferry convention the first time. Everybody's like, "You're the guy in the tuxedo." All my Facebook friends were on there. I'm like, wow, people do pay attention to that shit. So I still use it on my signature, and I've tried to get away with it, but man, it's hard to leave.
It's a picture of a fucking cowboy boot now.
Exactly right. Besides, it served me well. Wait till you see the ones I got for Carlsbad. But so anyways, we go on our own way, and I'm thinking, okay, well, that was good. We had good engagement. In my buyer's consults, they're usually over the island in the kitchen, and sometimes it's between one house and two, but I hit all the high points, so they know what to expect. And so then they hit me up about the following Wednesday and said, hey, we found this other house. We'd really like to go see it. And I'm watching what they're very active on the website, which that's what I love about our CRM is because you can see what they're looking at. It's very creeper, but it's all good. We got to be that way. So they say, hey, can we go look at this house? So I go show them. Like, yeah, man, we really like this house. And so I said, let me know what you think. If you want to write an offer. And I know they haven't pre-approved yet. I asked them that question. And that's always, I try to get as far in as I can. I want to have them really getting hot about buying a house. And that's why I like doing the buyer's consult in the field. So I'm like, well, we'll have to think about getting pre-approval. So then the next day there's like, can we go out and can we take some measurements? Okay, second house I've showed these people. These are Facebook. So these, when you get them off, it's like fishing in a big ocean, but when one hooks, they hook. So they said, can we go back Saturday morning? This is 4th of July. And we'd like to take some measurements because they're talking about turning one area into a second bedroom. I said, yeah, no problem. I said, I'm going to be right over there. So now I'm thinking, okay, I'm bringing my laptop. And I'd just written that one the night before at the house, the one that called up that was from an open house. And I thought, so I get in this mode because I like writing the offers right at the house too. So I used to handwrite them, drives the girls crazy. So now I'm trying to take my laptop in and type it because I know my handwriting's atrocious. So we go in, I said, tell you, I'll bring in my laptop. I said, we'll pull up some comps. You can kind of see what I'm seeing and this kind of thing. Just kind of, I push hard but gently, if that makes sense. But I'm always planting that seed to where I'm going to be ready to close them. So we get in there, and they got the kids with it. I'm thinking, okay, these guys are going to write. So I said, this is awesome. I said, we need to get you pre-approved. And, well, can we do that today? It's 4th of July. So I call up John Tobias. He's in Flagstaff. He said, call Adriana, see if she can do it. I get her on the phone. She's like, I need to write an offer. I need a pre-approval. She says, you're showing them a house and you haven't got them pre-approved? I said, Adriana, I do this every time, almost, unless they come to me pre-approved. And she says, well, why would you do that? And I said, I'll take my chances. I said, because if I bring them to my office and give them the whole textbook process, and then you got to do your financial rectal exam on them before they go see a house, I'm going to lose half of them. Man, I want them. When I worked in the car business, and I was around that in the insurance industry quite a bit, and they had what they did was the best closers in there, they used to greet them and street them, get them in the car as fast as you can, make them test drive to get them out on a freeway, and then the whole time keep their keys and you leave those new car keys in their hand while you're talking, well, let's just see what the numbers look like. Same thing with the house. You got to get them in a house. I don't care where it's at, what it is, as fast as you can. Because so now She's like, oh my God, really? I got to do this. She says, I'm going to a family function. I said, what time are you going? She says, 11:30. I said, it's 10 after 11. You got 20 minutes. So she wasn't happy with me, but she got the biggest deal I've ever. She got the biggest deal I ever sent her. Yeah, it's the biggest one I've sent her. Yeah, the second biggest deal I've written in Arizona. So that was a Facebook lead. I'm getting sidetracked, but my point is, it's not a waste of time, man. I mean, they do convert, so that's why I'm going to go from 1 to 3 per month. I'm going to triple that piece of it because
you tripled the amount you're bringing in too.
Exactly.
I mean, you went from doing 100 a month to 1,000.
So now it's just a matter of really getting hardcore with my follow up, and that's what I'm lagging a little bit on catching up on those leads on that. So because days when that queue shows up with 104 phone calls or texts or whatever we're doing. So that's where I'm really zeroing in on, especially over the next couple of months. My time allotment shifting to where I can do that. But those leads are good, man. Anybody who's contemplating should they dabble with it, frickin' do it, man. Because I know of 6 for sure. I've got that one in escrow right now, and I don't know what Ashley and I just went. I think we've got 11 open escrows right now, and that one, there's probably a couple more. You got to do all of it. Everything works, nothing does, all right?
Yep. No, I dig it, dude. And what I love about them is free. I get people that reach out to me that'll be like, hey, Josh, I'm sick of paying Zillow $3,000 a month. I want to get off of this. What do I do? Join my 90-day mastery program. It's only $997.
Right.
Right? I teach you everything you want to do.
Right.
Well, I don't want to invest. Well, dude, I'm not here to give you fucking free, free advice. Join the program. It'll save you 3 Gs.
Exactly.
And you do more. People just have this crazy narrow-minded mindset when it comes to it. So you're out there, you're doing this. It's just insane. You're crushing these deals that way. You're still continuing to crush it. We live in 2015, so we got to do business where eyeballs are 1.4 billion eyeballs on Facebook. Right. The cool thing too is you're not just able to do them to people in Phoenix. It's okay. Who's also moving here? Let me do them in the Northwest. Let me do them in the Midwest. Right? Okay. So then let's talk open houses, and we don't have to get into, because our listener base has probably all heard the mega open house. But if you haven't, you guys email me.
Do they know that was one of mine in the picture?
Yeah. So
that's my pitch.
I'll get you guys. I have like a 2.5 hour step-by-step training of our megas that Chris follows to a T, and you're going to see a lot of his, not just a picture of the house that I use in there, but a lot of pictures personally of you doing it and whatnot in there. So if you need that, because of time, we don't have the time to go through all of the strategy, but you start doing open houses, because at one point, dude, you were doing 4 a week.
Yeah. Well, and really we had a couple challenges, municipal challenges. We're in our target market at the time. And then weather shifts in Arizona. So to do 4 in the summer months it can be challenging. I'm not going to use weather as an excuse, but at the end of the day, we did back it down for that reason, and as well as the problems with the municipality we were working within. But come by August, where we're going to be, we'll be running by no later than September, after Labor Day, we'll be back to 4 a week. And the reason is because, well, they work, bottom line. And, how deep you want me to go? We put out way more signs than most people do.
I'll just ask some specific questions. So you're doing 4 a week. What are the best days that you've found, best days and best times to do those 4 a week?
Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay. And I say that because, let me back up. I think every day is a good day to do an open house. I don't think there's a bad day. Your weekdays, your Monday through Thursday, I think are going to draw a different overall volume. On a weekend, we're going to run a good open house or an average open house. We're running anywhere between 40 and 60 people through. Let me qualify that. When I say 40, 60 people through, we're about 2.1 bodies per sign-in. So just for easy math, cut it in half. I like counting bodies, and there's a reason I do that, because it creates some excitement. It reminds us, well, we're going to have 40, 60 people. We have refreshments and that kind of thing. But so if 40 people, you get 20 sign-ins. In 20 sign-ins, and it works well. And again, Vanessa and I do this together. We work as collaboration, we call it. But it's cool because when people come in, sometimes, like if there's a husband and wife, maybe one engages better with one than the other, but then we'll do the whole tour. You got to do that. Now, I'm a little unique or a little weird or whatever you want to call it, but when I'm in my spare time, which isn't much, I like to karaoke. I was a DJ on a radio. I guess I like the show or the attention. So and I got this. I dabbled with open houses, but nobody ever trained me step by step how to do it the way you did. And I remember you saying, everybody comes through as a job interview. They're either buying or selling or both. We double-ended several deals by doing this way this year. I say double-ended, got a listing and a purchase. And what we do, we always dress to the T. I mean, the only thing I didn't do is wear a tie, but I always wear a suit, dress shirt, clean, looking good.
I tried getting you out rocking the 3-piece, but you.
I do have a vest. I do have a vest. There's a whole new chapter about to unfold. Stay tuned. It's going to be a whole new world. The climate's changing. No pun intended. But so anyways, they walk in, and Vanessa's dressed spectacular. And so what we do, we host the show, and we treat it like a show because everybody walks through there is a job interview. And so, we started really getting into this, and I call Vanessa. She's the lady of the open house, and that's the way I introduce her. And so then, so we start the tour, and if there's not a ton of people, then she'll join. I'll walk through the house. I'll lead, have the husband and wife between us, and she'll follow. We're pinning these people down, man. It's tag team city. But because what she does is she gets the notes and tries to make mental notes, and sometimes she'll bring a pad so that we can put as much information back in. So when we're following up, we can say, "Oh, Josh, you and Amanda, you got 3 kids, and one of them's going to be going to school, and So we know as much about them when we're following up is critical. From there. And so, I love, the house that's in the picture, that one in Marley Park, was so awesome to do a tour because they start them downstairs. It was 3-2, about 2,500 square foot house, but you could start at the bottom. It had the garage in the back, and then you work your way upstairs. And I had the grand finale was the master bedroom because it had a balcony overlooking the White Tank Mountains. It was gorgeous, and it was very un-Arizona. But I just put on this grand show, man. Let me tell you, and people dig it, and they started following us. So then we started getting what we find by working an area and farming it the way we did Surprise. Is now we start hitting them up every week. Hey, we're going to be here. We're going to be here. So they're just coming to hang out and see us. But we've sold quite a few of those people houses. We've got some 3rd generation deep contracts right now off open houses that happened earlier this year. So that's within Vanessa and I started working together 4 months ago. And we just wrote a contract on one that's 3 deep. Starting in an open house. They all generate from open houses. I like the Facebook piece, but if I had to do one or the other, I'd take the open houses because I love the face-to-face engagement because that's, you talk about getting belly to belly with people. The one I was talking about just now that's 3 deep, this was a referral from an open house person that was referred to us from another open house person. They all bought. And we're in a competitive market right here, especially at specific price points. So house comes on the market. We've been watching it. I had them out here last week, and they didn't find what they wanted. They had 2 very specific needs in a house. So this house hits the market. She's emailing me at 5:30 the other morning. So I pull it up. I'm, kind of saying, okay, what are you doing up this early? I'm up. But so I get in, so I look at it. So I text the agent at 6:30. Which you told me it was okay to do that, so I do. And surprising, there are agents that are up that time of day. Most of them aren't working, and then a few of them get pissed off, but it's okay. So I go there, and these people are living out of town, about 100 miles out of town. So I said, I'll go preview the house and make sure it's what you want. Everything pictured out right, price is perfect, location. So I go over there, I see the agent, and I said, I got some buyers, and I said, I want to see the house right away. They're literally just came on the market that morning. They're still prepping. So I go through, and I call my buyer. I said, I said, we probably need to just write an offer right now. I said, this house probably won't make it to the end of the day. And so she said, well, we really want to see it. I said, then you need to come down here. She said, well, what if we come down about 6 or 7? I said, let me talk to the agent. I'll let him know or let her know. And she says, we've got 3 other showings scheduled before then. I said, awesome. So I called the buyer back. I said, you sure you don't want me to write an offer? She says, we can be down there at 3 o'clock. She says, we're going to take off of work. So they get to the office. I said, here's the way we're going to play this. I said, I know they've already had people in there. I said, the sellers were there. The agent's there. I said, we already figured out what we're going to come in at the price, wrote the contract before they even saw the house, had it in my car. We go in, fell in love with the house. Perfect house for them. Sellers are in the families in the garage, whole family, kids and all. and the agent, she's in the garage. We're inside. We wrap up. I said, just wait in here for a minute. And I told him, I said, we're going to ask to present this face-to-face, because you talk about face-to-face. And that's where, and again, these open houses, I'm getting a little sidetracked, but I guess I'm going to make a point here, is that, so I went out, and they're sitting in the garage, and I said, can you come over here? I said, we're ready to make an offer. And so, great, are you gonna email it over? And I said, actually, I'd like to go get my briefcase. And I said, can we just do this face to face? Everybody's here. I said, let's go sit around the kitchen table and do this. I did this one other time, worked great. And she's like, really? And I'm like, if you're up for it. And I already prepped my buyers what we're gonna do. I said, we're gonna come in hard and strong. And so we sat down. I went through. I let the two families kind of connect a little bit, tell each other's story for a couple minutes, and there was an instant connection there. You talk about the human connection. That's actually, I've learned so much, but there's a couple of key elements, follow up and the clarity. But the human connection piece is such an integral part of this whole process. So I'm trying to do this more and more, especially in a competitive situation. So we get and we present and give them a good offer. And the agent looks at me and she says, we got one problem. She says, the agent that was one of the agents that was here showing, they called 20 minutes before you got here. They had other houses they were going to look at, but they're going to lunch and they're preparing an offer. And she says, what do you want me to do? She looks at me, yeah, she's asking me this. I'm like, ma'am, I said, with all due respect, I'm not going to tell you how to do your job. But if I'm sitting in your chair, I said, I'm on the phone with the agent and say, I've got an agent here with buyers. They've got a written offer with an earnest check sitting in front of them with the sellers ready to sign. Is your deal real or not? And see how they react. So she goes outside. She's on the phone for about 10 minutes, comes in, and she says, I need to talk to my sellers privately. So they let us stay in the house. They go out in the hot garage. And I'm like, well, that's kind of nice. And I had a pretty good feeling because the two wives were talking, and it was just a good connection. And they came in after about 15 minutes, longest 15 minutes of my buyers' lives, I'm sure. Because, you could tell. She says my stress level is about an 18 on a scale of 1 to 5. And so they come back in, and she says, we're going to lose money to take your offer, but we're going to take your offer. And that really drove home again that, obviously we do this to make a great living, but to see these people connect and to see the fact that these sellers love their home, they could see that this was a couple coming in that wanted to make it their home, and by letting them connect, I shoot an email off with that offer, we don't have a prayer. There's no way we're getting that deal. And because, the other agent was pissed off. She says, that agent presented face-to-face? Are you kidding me? And I'm like, so tell them we're on the Revisto team. We'll show them how. So, because my point is, you got to be aggressive. That's why we do all the signs. That's why we put on the show the way we do in the open houses. I ask everybody that comes through, could you see buying this house? I'll ask them somewhere along the line, even if they're in and out. I'd throw it out there. And then in that situation, knowing it was going to be multiple offer, there was no question in my mind. I said, we've got one shot at this house. I said, so we're going to give it everything we got. And I looked at the buyers. I said, if this doesn't work, that just means this wasn't the house for you. I said, so don't stress. Of course, she's stressing to the max. Yeah. So, so those things, so that kind of commit and be willing to do, most agents, I told Vanessa about this. She wasn't with me. She says, oh my God, you're out of your mind. But she thinks I'm a shark. I don't know, shark, if that's a nice compliment or not. It just depends on the day. But, so we just, and that kind of stuff just makes it fun. Because the second time I've done this year, and both of them were multiple offers that never even got looked at. And so, if you're out there in that situation, man, strap on your boots and get out there and just get face-to-face. Because the worst thing's going to happen, you don't get the sale.
Yeah, and you want extreme results, you got to be willing to do extreme stuff, especially in extreme markets. So, so like right now, you just put 4 deals in escrow this past weekend, all buyers. Yeah, right? So, dude, Phoenix market's nuts. You had a listing not too long ago that you got 10 offers in the first 10 hours on the market, right? So we're in a market like most people right now that is freaking crazy. Months worth of inventory, it is nuts. People are bitching, whining, moaning, saying buyers are paying the ass, can't get anything accepted. You got 4 accepted in a weekend.
Yeah.
So you said something to me the other day. You're like, dude, I don't even like lists. Even in a seller's market, you're like, dude, I don't really like lists. I just want buyers. It's now freaking money. Yeah. So let's kind of talk a little. I mean, you've kind of already alluded to, because you hustle, you know the expectations of your people, and you jump on it, and you know, shark, do that. That's like the best compliment anybody can give you, right?
Yeah.
If somebody calls me like a shark, I'm like, that shark's the king of the ocean.
Right.
I want to be a lion on the land and a freaking shark in the ocean, baby. Right. You know, so how do you do that, dude? So, because so many people right now across the globe are in a seller's market, pinched inventory, multiple offers. You're a dude getting 4+ accepted a week, all buyers. How the hell do you do it?
Well, it's easy to create urgency. So, and you really it's about getting in tune with your buyers, you know, and knowing what they want, what they can afford, and really how committed they are. You know, if they are, you know, because I tell them, if we find the right house, I say, you need to be ready to write the offer now. And if I see, and I prep them this way, if it's been, you know, if it's 1 to 7 days on the market, I said, don't plan on coming in and lowballing them. I said, it's going to be full price or better, chances are. So I prep them that way. And even if it's one that's, you know, aged a little bit, you know, I let them know, I said, people, they're not going to get beat up out here. There might be different reasons it's out there. It could have fallen out of escrow. So I really tee them up to where, you know, and I do my homework on before we write an offer to make sure we're not over offering. And I let them know it's got to appraise, you know, or you can get out if you want. So then, but then I always call the agent before I send an offer over, and I've gotten to where, and again, stuff I didn't know, which you told me it was okay. I get on the phone and I just start talking numbers and try to negotiate verbally and get to know the agent. I mean, I try to buddy up with them, try to get a read on their personality. And so I said, you know, here's what we're thinking, you know, and I already know what I'm going to send over, but let me talk to my buyers and play that game a little bit. But I try to make that connection with the agents as well. So that, you know, so I'll tell them, I'll tell them, I'll be on the phone with them, and I always have my laptop with me because I don't want to let buyers get cold feet for their own sake. Now, I use the 10-day inspection period as a closing tool. You know, let people know if you're 75% of the way in, you want this house. I said, let's lock it up because somebody else would come behind you, and then while you were sleeping last night, somebody else took your house. I said, if you wake up 3 days from now and just like, Chris, this is a bad idea, I can't do this, we bail. Simple as that. I mean, you might lose an inspection fee. But at the end of the day, but I let them know. And I've got true life stories. Here's what's happened. So you want this. And what's really good is if somebody loses out on a deal, that just makes it that much easier to get the point across of it's urgent.
Yeah, I mean, we tried it your way. Now you need to try my way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And if you're not committed, if they don't by that point, then I know they're not committed to buying yet. You know, so you can kind of bring the heat down, because I try to just focus in on who's hot, who's ready to write right now.
And these are people too, because you've already asked the question of, in a perfect world, when would you be putting the key in your front door of your new home? Like, you've already asked that question. So these are people that are like, hey, we're ready to buy now. So you've already you're not showing somebody that wants a home in 5 months.
Yeah, no, I want the now people.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll take the 5 months people, but we just put them in a little different category, I guess, if you will. I mean, I'm still old school. I've got a legal pad in my folder that I've got my hot list, and I'm checking it off. I got 2 lists. I got, you know, potential commissions here and their name here, and I know approximately when they're going to buy. And if there's somebody that can write an offer within the next 30 days, they're on that list. And I work them hottest to coldest, and I'm in touch with them almost every day. You know, if they're on that hot list, they're not going a day, and a lot of times multiple times a day. The one that the one off of Facebook, that one took a couple days to negotiate it, and the buyers were getting frustrated because the seller wasn't moving, and they hit me up at like 10:45 the other night on a text. That's why I try to get everybody texting versus, because I don't feel like talking on the phone that time of night, but I'll text. And so they hit me up at 10:45, so listen, just let them know, here's our final deal, you know, this is as much as we're going to go. And they pretty much gave them what they wanted. We're like $2,500 apart. So I called the agent up. I'm like, it's 11 o'clock, and he says, what do you want, Chris? I'm like, I said, dude, we're $2,500 apart. Your seller won't come down. I said, you're 90 days on this listing. I know you want a deal. I want a deal. My buyers want the house. I said, we're each going to make a pretty good chunk of change on this. It's, you know, like $300,000 the house. I said, let's participate on the closing costs. Let's contribute a little bit and put this thing under contract already. So he's like, well, what do you think? And I'm like, well, I talked to the lender. Max, we're looking at X amount of dollars. So he agreed to it, called up the buyer first thing in the morning, said, hey, we got this worked out. We're going to send over the contract, sign it, we're in. And, because I don't get hung up on percentages either. I want a paycheck. I had one of them, I had an old listing with a seller that just wouldn't, I was canceling the listing on the 30th. Had somebody who wanted to see it on the 30th. They went in and looked. They sent over an offer, and that one took a little bit of negotiating with the agent. And, so I don't work for free, and I generally get paid. Now, do I get hung up on the percentages? I don't. That's why I do the listing deal that I do. I'm just, I want to get dollars in my pocket. And, I mean, if I can put, 100% of something or what, I'm going to say. I mean, I'd rather get something than nothing. Yeah. And so I do negotiate. I'm a wheeler dealer. I get on the phone and say, here's what we can do. You give this, I'll give this. Let's call it a deal.
Yeah, I think real estate is the biggest egocentric business I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And more real estate agents stifle their careers through ego. Like let's just say the standard rate for listing commissions like 6%. Oh, I never take a listing under 6%. Okay, that's cool. However, if I paid $1,000 to obtain this listing between marketing and advertising, and I take it at 2%, I'm going to try to get 6%. But let's say I've got to do a discount for it, and I net $8K still.
Right.
I had a lady call me the other day. She's like, hey, I got this $1.4 million listing that they won't go 6%, that they will only list at 5%. They want me to give 3% away to the buyer's agent. What should I do? I'm like, fucking take it.
List it.
I'm like, that's $28,000. I'm like, you can have a G, even though it's a luxury property. She's gonna maybe a G into marketing. It depends. She does, some luxury videos and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, dude, you paid a G to net 27.
Right.
Who the hell wouldn't do that? Like, get your ego out of your damn way and know that. Have a stop loss. Like for me, it was always, before I went on the listing presentation, it was like, okay, here's what I'm going to fight for. But I already knew my number to walk away because I was already able to calculate, okay, how much did it take me to get across this table from this human being?
Right.
Okay, what am I going to have in my marketing costs? Right. Can I make, for me, my number is always a 400% net return. Can I make a 400% net return from what I have into it to get it? And I would calculate that. So I always knew my stop loss. So yeah, I think that's a critical point. Glad that you brought that up, dude.
Yeah, because it's all, bottom line is what's going in your bank account when you're done. Yeah. I just want to keep cashing checks as often as I can, and sometimes.
And then referral, repeat business, other things, spur of it, whatever. Okay, dude, so you've done this, because really when it boils down to, and you're still doing the same things today, it's the Facebook private groups, right, that are free. You're doing the open houses on a massive level. Yeah. And really it's just those two things.
That's really
I mean you got some sign calls coming in.
Yeah, we get some past clients and stuff, but for the most part, those are the big volume drivers.
Yeah, but you're focused on huge levels. Yeah. Which people don't get. Like if you're doing 2 megas a week, that's 40 hours a week. Yeah. It's not just showing up. Oh yeah. It's like the follow up, the planning, the prep. People don't get it.
And that's the thing. I mean, I talk to agents, I'm going to go out for about 2 or 3 hours and put out 5 or 6 signs. Why are you wasting your day? When we do an open house, it's an all day gig, man. I mean, we show up, if it's going to be 11 to 3 our hours of the open house, or 11 until 3 or so is what I call it, because usually we end up going over by an hour. We start at 9. Putting out signs, but we've been prepping during the week, but we've got it pretty well down to a system. So that day, what I call game day, 9 a.m. we're starting to set up. We try to make it an enjoyable day. So we take an hour and a half to put out signs, because we're putting out, anywhere from 60 to 110 signs, depending on the neighborhood. And then we try to have about 30 minutes when we're done. We usually grab a brunch or something, so we're geared up and feeling good, ready for the open house. But then, it gets to be, say 3:30, 4 o'clock. So now you're already in, 7 hours. We usually, by then, it's time we'll go grab a slice of pizza or something, somewhere local for 30 minutes, kind of recap the day a little bit. We go back, we do our video, send it out. People are in conversion by then, and then we go pick up signs. So by the time we pick up signs, it's usually upwards of 6:30, 7 o'clock. So you're talking a 9-10 hour show day.
And that's not even the follow-up after.
That's not even that's just to start, put up and take down. And, and so maybe, it's not the 30 minutes. Yeah, we're eating, but we're still, moving forward. So,
all right, dude. So and I don't even want to count, you've been in the business 2 years, right? Mm-hmm. But you kind of restarted 6 months ago, because you were leaving, you were done.
Really the first of the year, to be fair, because you
went through training in December. You didn't start being active until the first of the year. So you got 6 months. You built this massive business. Now you're closing. Shit, I don't know. I mean, what do you? 5's probably a bad month for you. 10's a good month now.
Right in there.
in 6 months you've built that to a point now where next week you're packing up the moving truck, going to do Carlsbad,
correct,
which is your dream. Our first conversation that you and I had was, I'm going to be on the beach. And I want to make this happen in 2 years.
Yep.
And you came to me, and I think maybe you were nervous or to tell me or whatever. And I'm like, dude, if you don't go, I'm going to fucking punch you.
Right. Yeah. Well, because I wanted to make sure I delivered it right, because I have no intention of ever not being a part of Revisto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, life's so brief. You've got to chase your dreams, and if somebody does not support your dreams, they're the wrong person to be in your life anyway.
Agreed.
Right. So you know immediately that if somebody's against you, if somebody's trying to pull you back, then that's a red flag to eliminate them, right?
Yeah.
So just so people know, though, it's not like you're leaving this behind, right? You're going over there. You're starting, your new business over there. Well, you'll be personally kind of doing again what you did here.
Right.
But now, within less than 6 months, you've hit this success. You have people on your team here.
Mm-hmm.
We have another girl that you and I are interviewing tomorrow to put on your team out here. So at that point, you have 2 agents on your team out here. So from the beach in Carlsbad in San Diego, or I don't even know where Carlsbad is, but where Southern California.
It's the beach.
Yeah. So you're on the beach. You're generating business, doing business here, operating a team here while you're on the beach there. So you have big revenue coming in from Arizona, while you're also building up your California business there, doing the same strategy.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, because basically with Arizona, I mean, should more than pay for lifestyle. It's just duplicate. We're just shifting a little bit. The only thing we won't do ourselves here that we'll have these people on the team doing is the open houses, but everything else, the follow-up, the Facebook, really the Facebook and our internet strategy is going to be what supports us over here. Over there, and I'm probably just going to continually keep doing this 90-day challenge over and over again, because like if I wasn't moving, I'd still be doing this. One thing that pisses me off about Arizona is the damn heat, but as far as, like I hit the first 90 days, I had a great run, and shortly before the end of March, I started working with Vanessa, and we took the second 90 days, and I said, it's got to be 90 days. She asked me, so when we get to California, how are we going to get days off? I said, after the first 120, you can have a day off. Yep. I said, the answer to that question. I mean, just figure it out. And so, but yeah, that 90, and there's no question in my mind. That's why I can go out there, and this is why I can finally make the decision to go there, is with this system, I have absolute certainty that if we follow it to a T, and I think I said this right before I told you, and I had a hunch I was going. I said, might have been to Darren when he was here, but you drop me into any metropolitan area that's got a halfway decent market, and we'll make a great living by taking this system. Put me in a brand new, don't know anybody, and you can make this work, because it's just numbers.
Well, what I love about it, and you're living proof of it, and that's why I was so adamant of getting you on the show here before you bounced out, was so many people get in this business or in the real estate business and in all entrepreneurship, and they have this limited mindset that it takes years and years and years and years and years to create this epic business and become a rock star.
Right.
No. You can become a fucking rock star in 90 days. You can become a rock star in 6 months. You have a team now where, I mean, literally, you could never show a house again, never do an activity. Okay, you're doing your Facebook post, you're following up. But, I mean, as far as work with you would never have to work with another buyer and seller again. With what you've learned in 6 months, what you put together and with your tactics, you would never have to work physically with a buyer and seller again to support yourself for the rest of your life.
Yeah, no, and that's amazing. And I've thought about that because, like, I could be moving where I'm moving and never have to sell a house out there in California, although if you check the prices, got a feeling we're going to sell some houses out there. But it's amazing. I mean, you can, with technology, we can do this from anywhere. Mm-hmm. That's where what I was starting to struggle with the last couple of days is, man, I'm hitting this. Okay, I need to figure out what's my next goal. Because there's nowhere else, I don't think. The only place besides there, and maybe that'll come down the road, I might spend some time in Hawaii on a long-term basis. And I heard the prices out there are pretty strong too, although it's a very different market from what we're used to. But, as far as go anywhere. I mean, you could be in Canada, you could be in anywhere, literally. And that's what's truly amazing. And as long as you're willing to integrate that and don't think you have to have this, okay, it's Tuesday or it's Sunday, I have to have my entire day off. I mean, I still watch football, not as much as I used to, but I still catch the games, on Sunday. I don't sit down I can't sit for 9 hours straight watching 3 games. It would drive me crazy. I've never been able to do that the entire day. But, I probably enjoy life more because when I am not working, if I'm going to take an hour, 2 hours, or half a day or whatever, I'm going to make sure that time counts. I'm going to waste any time. That's one of my affirmations. Yeah. That's the other thing. Talking about mindset, the affirmations are so, and I've just stolen from whatever you put in the system, adapted them a little bit, and even if you're working with somebody, Vanessa and I do affirmations in the morning. We call each other usually between 8 and 9 o'clock if we're not working yet, and take 2 minutes and read each other affirmations. And that continual positive reinforcement is just so critical because, the truth of it is, we've talked about, there's stuff in this business that gets shitty some days, closing issues or, whatever it is. So I think that's just basically putting on your body armor, to make it all bounce off. But yeah, it's just, when I look at this, whether somebody, if they ask me, and that's one of the reasons I've got to talk to this gal tomorrow, newly licensed. She's like, well, I don't know if I need to join a team or this and that. This is I don't think there's ever a time that somebody shouldn't be on a team if they're willing to realize that doesn't mean the team's going to do everything for you. You still got to show up and do it, but the system's there, and it's like, I look at how my life has changed since I joined Revisto and really, made your acquaintance, and we've gotten to be friends, and still got to work on the eating regimen, the energy management, because I'm going to need that, because between fuel in Arizona and fuel in California and my son's little venture in Vegas is going better and better all the time. So I'm going to need the energy because I may be on the 3 a.m. club to make all this happen. But my life's changed dramatically. My mindset, my positivity, the whole 9 yards. And the 90-day piece, to be able to make it happen in 90 days, and I haven't been around here that long. People have known me a long time, but I'm sure Ashley can attest to this. I'm not the most patient man in the world. I want results right now. When I text somebody, I'm watching the screen waiting for an answer. I don't think being impatient, as long as you manage it right, is a bad thing. And to be able to get the results like this quickly, that's where people, and again, just, if somebody was going to ask me if they were going to join Revisto, or if somebody was going to enroll in your coaching program, I'll plug it all day long. It's changed my world, literally. I'm moving somewhere. If anybody's watching is around Southern California, I'm literally 2 blocks directly east of Tamarack Beach. It's one of the best surf beaches in the world. I'm not a multimillionaire, but I've got a system that works with certainty and in a belief that as long, and proof, I've got proof, proof in content and production, is that if you do this, it's going to work. I paid huge money to another coaching organization, as you know, didn't get the results. And I did get a lot of good things from that. So I don't have a beef with them, but it was kind of like going from a Yugo to a Cadillac, or I don't know if you remember Yugos or not, but this.
Come on, man. I'm more like a Lamborghini, baby.
Okay, there you go. Now you're talking. But yeah, no, you're right though, because I like the fact that everything's right now, quick, fast, all the time.
Yeah, and you hit it, man. You're not patient. Well, people that say patience is a virtue, I'm like, dude, like you gotta get that shit out of your head.
Yeah.
Like make everything urgent. Life is brief. Blink of an eye. We're on our deathbed. Make everything urgent.
Absolutely.
Don't have patience. Patience is. I'm like, who the hell came up with these dumbest fucking sayings that exist on the planet?
Why wait?
Yeah.
Shit.
Or like, oh, you want your cake and eat it too? Why the fuck would I order cake if I didn't want to eat it? I'm like, what's up with these people?
No.
But I don't know. There might be meanings behind the scenes. I've never looked into them. But your success has been brilliant, dude, and it's been awesome watching you, and obviously, an honor to get to know you. And this is the beginning of the relationship. We've got a lot still of growth to do, and there and here and different elements. So before we wrap up, because we're getting close to probably that 2-hour mark.
Okay.
We have a lot of real estate agents, a lot of non-real estate agents, entrepreneurs, or even we get a lot of our listeners are people that are in corporate America that maybe want to become an entrepreneur that see that not being the road, and they're listening to this for inspiration. And like I said, a lot of real estate agents, struggling real estate agents, new real estate agents, whatever it may be. Any kind of last from your experience being in the business and the transformation that you went through, because you sent me a text not too long ago, and you're like, dude, even though I'm working more than I've ever worked in my life, no days off working more. You're like, I'm 53 years old. I can't think of another time I've been happier in my
52.
life. 52.
Anyways,
Sorry.
who's counting?
So yeah, 52. My bad. But so get that text, right? So I mean, you've got this point in your life where you're accomplishing. You're not just going for your dreams. Like you've made them a reality. They exist. Yeah. Like it's not like, okay, I'm going to be moving to California. Like you already got your place. Yeah. Right? So you've made your dreams become a reality in a short. I don't want to say short span of time, because you've had all those years of training and that all add to it. But going through this experience and the success that you've had in life, any like words of encouragement or inspiration you'd like our listener base to hear to just get out there? And the whole GSD mode movement that we're creating is just to inspire people to go create epic lives, because we just kind of said it. Blink of an eye, we're 84 years old, we're on our deathbed, and we're like, okay, what do we do? Do we piss away with this one gift called life that we were blessed with, or do we go out there and create our dreams into reality? Like, do you have any words of encouragement, advice, just to inspire people to, dude, get out there, because everybody has infinite potential.
I think the biggest thing is, by the time you get to my age, 40-12, there's so many paradigms that start getting built up from the time you're old enough to remember.
40-12, 40 plus 12.
You got it.
Your 12th anniversary of your 40th birthday?
Yeah, I'm in my 40s. I'm just,
Well, you run circles running your 40-year-olds or even 30-year-olds, so you're good, bro.
I like to give them a run anyways, but, it's... Try to break past those paradigms. Get outside the box. I mean, my father was a doctor 2 times over. He died in a plane crash when I was 17. I took a completely different path than I probably would have, because, I hated school. I'm not one to sit in school. I like to learn. I don't figure I have to know everything, as long as I know where to get the answers. Thank God for Google. But, and then just believe that anything's possible. You have to have that limitless ability to dream, and then give it a timeline, make it a goal, and then figure out what steps you got to take to do it. But the biggest thing, don't let anybody tell you can't. If there's people around you in your life, I don't care how close or special or how much they're supposed to mean to you, if they're getting in your way, you got to remove them. And that's it. I mean, I've learned so many things from you in the last short time. It seems like a lifetime almost. Success and elimination, and that has been very important. For me, not always the easiest thing to do. You don't have to be a dick about it. If somebody's, you've been friends with somebody for years and years, but they're just always negative, always bitching, you just gently kind of pull back, and if maybe they start to see a change in you, they'll come around. Hopefully you can be that positive change in their world, but you got to remove yourself. If you're in a bad relationship in life, get the hell out of it, because it is too short. Do you want to spend, how many people hit retirement and they've been in a job they hated? I got friends of mine that hate their jobs, been with them 20, 30 years, been in marriages they hated, to be honest, that's being blunt, but they stay in them for a sense of moral obligation. I'm not saying go out and get divorced because you had a fight or break up with your significant other, but either change it, fix it, or get out, because life is too short. And so two words that are probably the most important is never settle. Always go after what you want. Never settle. If you settle, you've given up and you've lost.
Yeah, so, I love it, dude. Love it, man. So, to our listener base, before we wrap up here, as always, information without implementation is delusion, right? So you've just heard from a dude that shit in the last 6 months, I mean, in 2015, has had such massive success that most can't after a 30 or 40 year career. I mean, it's insane. So you've heard from a dude that has done it, that's built. Went from leaving the business to creating massive success, now to creating his own team, and now operating 2 teams essentially in 2 different states in a short period of time. So take nuggets that you've learned today. This guy is a machine. He's doing it. He's a practitioner. This isn't theory. This is stuff that's working on a high level today in 2015, but also works in any time frame. It's mastering those fundamentals. So information without implementation is a delusion. So take some nuggets that you heard today, implement those. get some results, keep dominating. And Chris, dude, I know you're busy. You're a busy mofo, man. So I greatly appreciate you taking the time to be here, dude,
Absolutely.
and dropping some knowledge and changing some lives with me.
You got it. Likewise.
So thanks so much, brother.
Thank you,
appreciate
buddy.
it.
You betcha.
All right, peace out,
take
you
care.
guys. Take
Thanks.
care.